The day a tyrant tried to steal my newborn. It was 6 a.m. when the pounding on our front door shattered the quiet of our suburban Virginia home. The sound wasn't a polite knock, it was a battering ram of intent, loud enough to wake the dead. My wife, Ellen, stirred beside me, her face pale from the C-section she'd endured just 3 days earlier. Our newborn daughter, Lily, slept soundly in her bassinet, wrapped in a soft flannel blanket that still carried the faint scent of hospital antiseptic. I kissed Ellen's forehead and whispered, "Stay here, honey. I've got this." But as I approached the door, a chill ran down my spine. I had no idea I was about to face a monster armed with a clipboard and a vendetta. I'm Tom Reynolds, a retired Marine Corps officer with 20 years of service. I've faced insurgents in Fallujah and sandstorms in Kandahar, but nothing prepared me for Helen Baxter, the HOA president of Maple Grove Estates. Through the peephole, I saw her standing on my porch, her cream coat pristine, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. Flanking her were 2 HOA board members, Greg and Linda, and a nervous man in a cheap suit clutching a briefcase. I opened the door halfway. "What's this about?" Helen shoved past me, her heels clicking on my hardwood floor. "We're here to take the child," she declared, pointing at Lily's bassinet. The room seemed to tilt. "Excuse me," I said, my voice low. Ellen called from the bedroom, her voice trembling. "Tom, is Lily okay?" Helen's lips curled into a smirk. "According to the HOA bylaws, your cohabitation violates community standards. The child must be removed." I stepped forward, towering over her. "Get out of my house." But Helen didn't flinch. She nodded to the man in the suit, who introduced himself as Carl Weaver, a supposed CPS agent. Based on reports, Carl stammered, "This household may be unstable, different last names, financial concerns, and an absent father." I cut him off. "We've been married for 5 years. I'm a Marine, not a drifter." Helen snapped, "Not legally. Different surnames suggest deception." She leaned toward the bassinet, muttering, "Poor child, born into chaos." Ellen staggered into the doorway, clutching her incision. "You don't get to talk about our daughter." Helen whirled, her voice icy. Emotional volatility, another red flag. New mothers must be stable, legally bound to a provider. I moved between them, fist clenched. "Back off, my family." Helen opened a manila folder, listing my deployments as abandonment and claiming Ellen had no income. "You've been stalking us," I growled. "You planned this." Helen's eyes gleamed. "I enforce standards. Families like yours ruin property values." The air crackled with tension. I was a heartbeat from losing control when Helen made her move. As I turned to check on Ellen, a sharp pain exploded at the base of my skull. I stumbled, gripping the coffee table, blood trickling down my neck. Helen stood there, panting, clutching a digital thermometer, its metal backing now bent from the blow. "You lunatic!" I roared. "You hit me with a thermometer?" She sneered. "You turned your back on an active investigation." I didn't yell. I didn't lunge. I acted. Grabbing Lily's flannel blanket from the couch, I spun it like a rope, hooked it around Helen's neck, and yanked. She gasped, arms flailing. In one fluid motion, I swept her legs, pinned her face down, and secured her wrist with a diaper clip. She screamed out from pain, but from humiliation. "This is assault," she howled. "This is restraint," I said, leaning close. "This is what happens when you break into my home and attack me." Carl froze, stammering. "This is irregular." Greg and Linda, the HOA members, stood dumbfounded by the door. Ellen, trembling, whispered, "Tom, don't make it worse." I met her eyes. "It's already worse. I'm making it stop." Outside, tires screeched. A voice bellowed, "Police. Open up." I looked down at Helen, her perfect bun unraveling. "You should have left when you had the chance." The door burst open. 2 officers stormed in, hands on holsters. "Step away from the woman," one said. I stood, hands raised, and nodded at Helen. "That's your intruder. She broke in, assaulted me, and tried to take our newborn." Ellen sobbed. "They said we're not a real family." I pointed to the coffee table, where our marriage certificate, my military ID, and Ellen's nursing license Saturday, everything they claim we lack is right there. The younger officer helped Helen up. She was a mess, mascara streaked, blouse torn. "He choked me with baby linens," she shrieked. "You hit me with a thermometer," I shot back. "You're lucky I didn't do worse." A voice from the porch cut through. "She's lying." Mrs. Clara Thompson, our elderly neighbor, stepped inside, holding her phone. I recorded everything, her breaking in, hitting Tom, all of it. Helen snapped. You bitter old hag. Clara didn't blink. And you're just mad you got hogtied with a baby blanket. The older officer's lips twitched. Ma'am, he said to Helen, you're under arrest for trespassing, assault, and attempted child endangerment. As they cuffed her, Helen screamed, this is a family community, and they don't belong. I stepped forward. You're right. Families like ours fight back. The cuffs clicked, and Helen's reign began to crumble. But this was no isolated incident. By noon, our street was crawling with patrol cars, detectives, and a CPS supervisor. Clara's video had gone viral on police channels, exposing Helen's pattern of harassment. She targeted other families, the Pattersons, the Lopezes, the Carters, accusing them of instability for being interracial, single-parent, or non-English speaking. The officer showed me a file of complaints. She had a mission to purge the neighborhood, he said. I clenched my jaw. Not anymore. Ellen and I gave statements, as did Clara, Greg, and Linda. The HOA members confessed Helen had called an emergency meeting, ranting about those people ruining property values. She wanted to make an example of you, Linda admitted. The DA charged Helen with harassment, assault, false reporting, attempted kidnapping, and civil rights violations. The neighborhood exhaled, but the real battle was yet to come. The courtroom was packed. Neighbors, reporters, families, and Helen had been tormented. She sat at the defense table, her arrogance unshaken. Her lawyer claimed she acted in good faith for community standards. I muttered, she enforced hate, not rules. When Helen took the stand, the prosecutor didn't hold back. Why did you target the Reynolds family? Helen's voice was cold. Different last names, no ring, a fragile woman, an absent man. No child deserves that chaos. Ellen gasped. I gripped the bench. And the other families? The prosecutor pressed. Helen smirked. Interracial kids struggle. Foreign languages hinder assimilation. Single mothers raise unstable boys. These are facts. The courtroom erupted. Do you believe only white, married, English-speaking couples are fit to parent? The prosecutor asked. Helen didn't hesitate. I believe in tradition and stability. They lacked it. I stood, unable to stay silent. You tried to destroy us because we didn't fit your twisted idea of America. The judge banged her gavel, but I saw the jury's faces shift. They saw the monster. After 4 hours, the verdict came, guilty on all counts. Judge Evelyn Carter, a black woman with steel in her voice, stared Helen down. You used your position to terrorize families, twisting community values into weapons. You failed. She sentenced Helen to 28 years, no parole for 15. Gasps filled the room. Helen's eyes darted, frantic, as the bailiff cuffed her. She spat at Ellen. Your daughter will grow up broken. Ellen stood tall. She'll be everything you're not. Outside, reporters and neighbors cheered. The HOA dissolved, replaced by a diverse council. We rewrote the bylaws. A family is any home built on love, stability, and respect. Ellen returned to nursing, earning a promotion. I consulted on security cases, protecting others from suburban tyrants. Lily turned one, clapping at butterflies in our yard, safe and loved. The families Helen targeted thrived. The Pattersons' kids became honor students, the Lopezes opened a cafe, and the Carters' son earned a scholarship. Helen thought she could erase us. She only made us stronger. Her ideology was buried, replaced by a community that stood together. The real battle wasn't in a war zone. It was in my living room, at 6 a.m., when someone decided my family wasn't enough. Love, not paperwork, defines family. And no one will take that from us again. What does family mean to you? Share one word in the comments that defines yours. And let's talk about the bigger issues. Where do you stand on violence and injustice in everyday life? Was Tom justified in restraining Helen, or did he go too far? Drop your thoughts below, and let's start a real conversation.